2212 Hunter Road, San Marcos, Texas, US, was the address of the house I explored.
Don't. I don't.
Michael?
Yeah.
Stanley Gray Adams Jr. currently owns the property today and is sitting on this property and plans on doing nothing with this land. Stanley Gray Adams Jr. has owned this property since 1995. However, he is not the only person to have owned this property. There have been people before him who have previously owned this property prior to 1995. Renovations and additions were made to the main area of the house in 2011 despite no one living there in 10 years, according to online data from Hayes CAD. I will be showing you some deeds regarding this property as I go along, explaining further in the video more information about this property. Scott Russell Martinez was the person who owned this property prior to Stanley Gray Adams Jr. Both Scott Russell Martinez and Stanley Gary Adams Jr. would share this property as a joint property at one time. They would both own this property as a joint property, to be exact and to be accurate. This is a plat map of the properties both of them owned. The land was divided up into subplots and divided into parcels over time as indicated and shown on this plat map over here. Curtis Briggs and his wife were the people that owned this property prior to Scott Russell Martinez and Stanley Gray Adams Jr. A.D. Adcock used this land for his construction company called A&W Construction also. W. A. Williams purchased this land in 1937 and sold it again in 1939, as shown on this deed. Felix Swift was deeded this land from Anna Kyle in 1917, at the very beginning of 1917 to be accurate. This chunk of land located on Hunter Road in San Marcos, Texas, has gone through many landowners and several ownership changes over the years. Miss Anna Kyle owned this land for several years as this land was listed in a will with her name listed as a executrix. Here is the deed of that will, right here in this video. C.L. McGee purchased this land back in 1875 according to this deed here. Here are some of the deeds for this property dating back to the 19th century of the 1800s. Otto Miners would own this land from 1897 to 1908. He sold parts of the land off beginning in 1907. As I said earlier in the video, this land has gone through several ownership changes and various landowners over the years. This deed, dating back to September 11, 1875, was deeded to C. L. McGee. He was the owner of this land for a certain number of years.